out for Friday's win-or-go-home game against the Sacramento Kings. That's according to our senior insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. Zion was really putting together one of the best games of his career, and then he left the floor after tying the game with his 40th points with just 3 minutes remaining. You can see his frustration there. Welcome to NBA Today, presented by American Express, here with the Hall of Famer Michael Wilbon, the one and only Shanae Agumike, Adrian Wojnarowski, all here with me, Malika Andrews. And Woj, on yesterday's show, you appropriately labeled this as the biggest game of Zion Williamson's career. And for 45 minutes, he absolutely answered that call. And then we saw that injury. How long could he be out? How significant is this?
No, this is a significant hamstring injury for Zion Williamson. Not only is he out for Friday's play-in game against Sacramento and an elimination game for New Orleans, he's essentially at least out for a potential first-round series for New Orleans. It's hard to imagine even if they won on Friday without him. And they are 7-5 without him this season, in a season when Zion Williamson played a career-best 70 games that they could win in a 1-8 series without him. And so devastating for this New Orleans team.
Right.
Zion Williamson, and you said it, Malika, he delivered last night. 3 minutes to go in the game. He's got 40 points. The Lakers had no answer for him.
Really?
It's the first time in a high-stakes game we've seen Zion Williamson look like an overall #1 pick. And you just when you get excited about that, now you have this incredible downer, Woj, that he won't be able to play in that game. I know they've owned Sacramento so far this season, 5-0, but now we're talking about a whole new deal without Zion. And so it's got to be also deflating for that locker room. And Brandon Ingram, who a couple of years ago looked like he was going to be one of the best forwards in this league, is now on the bench in the fourth quarter for a good chunk of last night. So where is New Orleans without Zion? It just seems to be a major downer.
Right. 7-5, Woj, as you mentioned, without Zion so far this year. But one of those games was against the Kings. It was in January. The Pelicans won by 33 points decisively. So there is some hope that lies there. But you mentioned it. They need a much better version of C.J. McCollum. They need a much better version of Brandon Ingram. Because take a look at exactly what transpired last night. We had a whole game that went on before this Zion Williamson injury. LeBron and the Lakers, they were able to survive and advance. LeBron James meaning business in this one, Shanae. Under 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. The Lakers lead by 3. LeBron drives, leaving nothing up to chance. 15 points in the first half. But the Pelicans inbounding down 12, Zion full head of steam.
When Zion had the ball, he was virtually unguardable, which makes this news a total bummer. But look at that. In the first half, 20 points, 9 for 15 from the field. He was everything that you had expected him when he walked into the NBA to be in a game that mattered. But unfortunately, you see what transpired later.
Well, when LeBron is taking charges like this.
He went right at LeBron and Anthony Davis.
And it wasn't his only one.
Time after time. It's right.
Oof. That was a little hard fall there. LeBron stands in, takes the charge. Even Zion had to laugh a little bit about that. And then LeBron on the other end spins. Ooh, made you look.
Counter move. Pros have go-to moves. LeBron James has counter moves that are elite.
The Lakers lead 83-76 after the third. Fourth quarter, 6 minutes to go here. The Lakers up by 5. The Pelicans getting out in transition. Zion finds Jose Alvarado up for 3, buries it.
Alvarado turned the energy in that arena just by his hustle. They got out in transition. He created a lot of plays with the ball in his hands. And watch this nice little dime to Zion.
Zion gets it to go. Under 4 minutes to go here. The Pelicans, they trail 93-91. This is the guy you want.
And that's the moment I was like, okay, they might actually do this. They were down for most of the game, but then they're getting easy looks. The Lakers took their eye off the ball defensively, and then you felt like, okay, New Orleans, it's time.
This was the optimism you were seeing from Zion Williamson, but then he just lands here a little funky. You can see him walking away from this play gingerly, so frustrated, understandably so, that he needed to leave this game at this point. One more look. This is where Zion, obviously in some pain, gets hurt and would not return to the game. So just over 2:30 left. The game tied here. Going ahead here. Zion, just so frustrated, Woj.
Yeah, Michael mentioned Brandon Ingram and the hope that, he could carry a very big load for this team. It was only his third game back last night after having been out really since March. And so he's still working his way in, and he walks into the frenzy of a postseason game. I think what's so disappointing for New Orleans, 49 regular season wins. I think they'd only be the second team in history to not make the playoffs with 49 wins and they got to find a way against the Kings on Friday night.
And the Lakers, they just closed with the punch that we all expect from LeBron James at this point when he knows the season is on the line. So the West playoff picture is nearly complete here. We know the Lakers are going to be the 7th seed. They're going to face the defending champion Nuggets. The Pelicans, they host the Kings for that 8th and final spot, a meeting in the first round against the Thunder on the line. As for the Lakers, Darvin Ham, LeBron James, they know all too well that they have their hands full with the defending champs.
I mean, it's the defending champion, and, you know, we understand, you know, how difficult of a matchup it's been versus them. You know, they're going to make it tough on them. We got to try to make it tough on them. So, you know, we're going to get an opportunity to kind of rest tonight, maybe rest tomorrow a little bit, and then get back into the books and get ready for this first round series. That's going to be extremely tough on us.
They've had a ton of success against our ball club, but there's always a new day. We feel comfortable, though. We like where we are. We like where the spirit of our group is. Everybody's chipping in, pitching in, excited about this challenge and this opportunity, and respect to them. They'll have a ball club. It's the reason why they're defending champs. We like our chances.
I'm glad Darvin Ham likes their chances because the Nuggets have won 8 straight against the Lakers, including 4 in that West Finals sweep last postseason. However, I mean, if you want to sort of look glass half full, 3 of the 4 games they were decided by 6 points, so it was one of the more competitive sweeps, if there are such a thing, that we have seen right in NBA history. And right now, Chiney, the Lakers are red hot, right? They've won 10 of their last 12. They're relatively healthy. LeBron James only lost 1 first-round series in his entire career. So I'm not going to say win, but how much do you think LA can push the Denver Nuggets?
Much further than they did last year, in my opinion. And that's because this is not the same Lakers team we watched for the first 3 quarters of the NBA season.
Right.
If I told you that Anthony Davis went 6 for 20, LeBron James 6 for 16 from the field, you would think, oh, they're going to really struggle. But they still got enough of effort from their supporting cast. I mean, it was the D'Lo 3 in the corner. It was them locking down on defense. To me, overall, when you look at the Lakers right now, even though they don't play perfect, they play hard. And that's what separates them. So going up against the Nuggets, we all know that they are truly the favorites, but the Lakers are the last team you want to play in the first round because LeBron James still knows how to control the pace of the game. His teammate shot 9 for 12 off of his passes. So if he's not impacting it shooting the same way AD sort of missed a couple bunnies around the rim, his teammates are now filling the gaps, whereas in the first 3 quarters of the season, they weren't doing that before. To me, that's significant, and you don't want to play against them, even if you're the defending champs in the first round.
Shanae and I are in the same emotional space on this, and I may go even further. I think this is going to be a real series, a 6 or 7 game series. Look, we spend all this time talking about GOATs all the time. And LeBron James is in that conversation. Well, when you are in that conversation, if you are the GOAT, LeBron James' superpower is his ability to diagnose what is needed from game to game, from half to half, from quarter to quarter, from possession to possession, to diagnose it, figure it out, and then get other people to do exactly what he knows has to be done. That's a superpower. I don't want to talk about three-point shooting. I don't need, metrics. I don't need any of that. LeBron James controls the game. He knows how to do that. And if you think LeBron, coming off last night, he's going to get some rest, by the way. He's going to get a little bit.
Yeah.
Coming off last night, if you think that he is not looking at Denver saying, no, I'm not going out like this. That's what GOATs do. That's what they do. They come into situations where everybody says you cannot. You're playing with Anthony Davis. You got 2 all-league players. I voted. They're both on my 3 teams. One is on second team, one is on third team. You got 2 great players out there. Don't tell me I know Joker is the best player on the planet, but don't tell me the Lakers shouldn't be and won't be compared. I will be tremendously disappointed in them if they don't look at that 8-0 themselves and get angry and purposeful and follow LeBron's lead and make this a real series and have a chance to win.
They've got to show they can take 1 game on this Denver
first
team.
right.
They haven't done that.
First one is needed.
Really, the last 2 seasons, they have not found a way to close. Malika said it. There's been a bunch of close games. And down the stretch, there is not a team in the NBA that executes better than the Denver Nuggets. They'll let you hang around, but they put you away.
They have killed them in clutch time. The Nuggets have just dominated the Lakers in clutch time. And I agree with you, Michael Wilbon, but LeBron had a 40-10-9 game in Game 4 against the Denver Nuggets, and even that wasn't enough last season, and they really have answered the call on all fronts in terms of how are they going to fill out their bench. I also can't remember the last time LeBron James started a first-round series in a Saturday game versus a Sunday game. It'll be a Saturday game in the Mile High City on our ESPN family of networks right here on ABC, and they don't have much time to acclimate. They'll get to Denver early. They'll try to sort of get their breath together, get their plan together, but this is a tall task, even for LeBron.
It is tall, and they are underdogs for a reason. And Denver is favored not just in this series, but every series they're going to be favored in for a reason. I'm just saying the Lakers have too much talent in terms of personnel. D'Angelo Russell, you mentioned it. I know we've seen up and down, and we're going to see up and down in this series because that's the career.
Right.
But up and down means some ups. I mean, if D'Angelo Russell can win a game for them, can play a game like he did last night, where he's got critical possessions offensively with a 3 here and there, and defensively, one game. But the Lakers, Woj, to your point, that they cannot let Denver just sort of let them hang around, close it out. They got to get one of those first two, and preferably game one. They've got some momentum now.
I love that point. D'Lo with the steal.
Yeah, with the steal.
The Lakers basket,
mention,
but then knocking down the must-hit corner 3. That was an important sequence.
And Anthony Davis matching up just a little bit better with Nikola Jokic than he has over the past couple of years. We have a couple of days to get into this matchup in this series. I do want to shift to some other news from this morning. Toronto Raptors forward Jontay Porter has been banned from the NBA for life, the league announced. The NBA said that Porter provided confidential information to bettors, limited his own participation in games for gambling purposes, and bet on NBA games. So, whoa, just as a pretty significant consequence here. What message is the league trying to send?
That there's not going to be any wiggle room in gambling for players in this league, and not just players, but team personnel. There are lots of people in the NBA, besides players, who have access to a lot of confidential information, and I think the message is not just about Jontay Porter, but about everybody in this league. And, you know, you talk to teams and agents and people around players. It is, since this first Jontay Porter, it has been a constant conversation of reminding people of the consequences. Adam Silver made an example of Porter, but this is still an ongoing investigation. Certainly federal law enforcement is involved in this, and the league is keeping this investigation open. But listen, we are in a world where we are immersed in gambling, in NBA arenas, on social media, on teams' own social media feeds.
Amen.
And it is a reminder that, you know, for the NBA, this is certainly, in all of this today, to see that Jontay Porter bet on his own team to lose is certainly a damning revelation.
When Adam Silver was asked about this last week, he said he had a multitude of options that he could explore in terms of a consequence for Jontay Porter, and that the most extreme was certainly on the table. That is what we have seen here today. Woj, thank you so very much. We have a lot to get to on our jam-packed show. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into the Lakers and the Nuggets. How look around? Will he be with the team next year? Draymond has some thoughts.
I got no reason to go into it like, oh, man, they're not going to do right by Clay. They did right by me. They've done right by Steph. They've done right by all of us. You know, Clay tore his ACL. They paid him $160 million. So I have no reason to think that our ownership group aren't going to take care of us.
So tonight was tough to you know, to see him struggle. But as I told the guys in there, that, you know, it's all part of being an athlete and being an NBA player. I mean, there's incredible highs and really tough lows, and this was a tough one for Clay and for the whole team.
I could never see myself, you know, not with those two guys. I understand this league changes and there's so many things that go into it, and we're not going to play forever, but you know, we've experienced so much together, and at the end of the day, like, again, I know they want to win, I know I want to win, and that's all I'm worried about.
So I think there are two important things that Steph said there. That he wants to win, and he can't imagine doing it without these guys. And that's something that Steph Curry has told me so many times over the years as I've sat down with him in different interviews. And this is hard, Sinead, because it just feels like there's so many coulda, shoulda, wouldas when it comes down to the season. But do you think it's possible, Woj, when you look at all the roster moves that they have at their availability, at their disposal here, to both keep this group together and to win at the level Steph is talking about?
I think it's going to be really, really difficult for this to be a championship team again. But can this be a team that can get into playoffs, maybe win a round? Sure. Now, you can say, hey, the standard's different in Golden State. Well, welcome to the reality of the NBA. And Steve Kerr said it last night. These things don't go on forever. I think the questions for Golden State are going to be re-signing Klay Thompson at what number, how many years on a contract, and then he can measure what they're willing to do off of what's out there in the marketplace and decide, and how much of their infrastructure, of their draft picks, of their young players, are they willing to put into a trade to maybe go get a more established, younger, say maybe borderline all-star player, maybe an all-star player who's available, and to try to maximize this window with Steph Curry that really compromises them long-term. These are difficult questions. I mean, go back to when Ramona Shelburne and I reported about their interest in LeBron James prior to the trade deadline. They never talked players between the Lakers and the Warriors. But I think perhaps what Golden State would have offered and how much they would have been willing to put in a deal versus what the Lakers would have asked for, I think it may have been two very different things.
And even if the Warriors strike it rich on all these moves, they're not doing this in a vacuum. Oklahoma City's not going anywhere. Minnesota doesn't look like the Ant-Man is about 12 years old. He's not going anywhere.
Well, not to mention the Grizzlies are coming back.
The Grizzlies are going to come back with Ja.
You have Victor not wanting to lose.
And Denver, I didn't even start with Denver. All right, so even, look, I'm old. I'm even older than Woj. And I've seen all these things come to an end. And when Steve talked about that, I was there when Steve's run came to an end as a player. Because I was there to watch the Magic Johnson Lakers after winning 5, not 4, 5. After seeing Jordan's teams win 6. Nobody thought they were going to see Scottie Pippen on Portland and then Houston, but that's what happened. There's a whole award-winning series that shook the athletic world, The Last Dance. There's a reason. You know who was dancing on that team? Steve Kerr. He knows this. He knows how this goes. No, I don't see them coming back, running it back and winning, because they're not good enough anymore. It's okay. Like, this is not an insult. All of these things in a sport with a cap come to an end. The Warriors look very much like this is the end. I felt bad, Malik. I thought about you. I was going to text you last night. So let me leave the captain alone right now because I know it's a tough night.
The captain is my dad, and he's struggling a little bit today.
Well, as one would expect. But do I see them coming back with this group and contending? No.
Yeah, this is the moment, and I know you said you've seen different iterations of dynasties ending. You could just see it and hear it from the podium. Right? Like, it feels like, even though they may not be saying it, the emotions, Klay staying on the court.
Yes.
I mean, Draymond saying taking care of us, that's not necessarily the mindset of a team that wins, right? Yep. It's got to be taking care of Steph, who is protecting his prime. I know what he meant, but I do feel like it is, yeah.
And this is a new economic climate, a new salary cap that's built for teams to build through draft picks and not teams like Golden State to run up luxury tax.
Not to mention, and as you said, the rest of the West is coming, not just the teams that are in it now, but than just a bucket, as we say hello to our front office insider, Bobby Marks. Bobby, after Golden State was eliminated from postseason contention by the Sacramento Kings, there are so many questions surrounding this franchise, but I'm looking at Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green more specifically. You've been in these front offices making these decisions. How should the Warriors move forward here?
Yeah, Malika, Joe Lacob has been on the record, right? He said he's willing to go under that luxury tax threshold, which is at $171 million. And when you look at the Warriors right now, $174 million in payroll, it certainly starts with Chris Paul. He's got a $30 million contract for next season, a June 28th guarantee date. And when you do the math, to keep Klay Thompson, Chris Paul is likely going to be the odd man out. And that leads to the future of Klay Thompson here. An unrestricted free agent, only the second time in his career, eligible for 4 years, $221 million up until June 30th. That likely is not going to happen. I think the magic number to get Klay back is somewhere in that $25 to $30 million number. But there are shooters out there. Orlando, Oklahoma City, Philadelphia all have cap space to go out and sign him outright. And then finally, the third, What happens with Draymond Green? Still has over $75 million left on his contract.
Right.
If Golden State is looking to shake up that roster, it certainly would start with a player like Draymond Green or perhaps a player like Andrew Wiggins also.
Bobby, thank you for breaking that down, always making it so digestible for us to understand what is going on in Golden State. Sinead, I can't believe I'm saying this. No matter what happens, 2 through 15, right? Because it used to be it was kind of 4 through 15. The top 3 were cemented. But really, right now, we're just talking about Steph Curry. How does his future start to be impacted here?
Well, big picture, this is the most important offseason for the Golden State Warriors in about a decade. And I want to break it down through the sense of all of the top teams in the NBA, let's say about 80% of them, they have 2 stars. They might have like a superstar, but they also have another all-star.
Right.
Think about the Boston Celtics, the Nuggets, even the Bucks in some ways, Timberwolves, Dallas, see how they have emerged, the Clippers overall. That's something that the Sacramento Kings exposed in the winter all, because they blitzed Steph more than any other team. They have the 4th highest single game blitz rates, which is trapping Steph. And they didn't have an answer for it. And I feel like that's been the story of the Golden State Warriors this entire season. Who will step up? Who will emerge as the next guy up? We thought 2 years ago it was probably going to be maybe Andrew Wiggins on the perimeter, right? Now you have Jonathan Kuminga having good games, Moses Moody having good games, but we still don't feel bought in that those guys are going to be the guy for Steph to maximize their prime. And so
the teams that will be there next year. We have a lot to get to. We're going to get back to Golden State, but also, right? He's averaged 21.7 points in the last 3 regular seasons, and then he ups that to 27.1, 21.7 to 27.1. So for more on this all-important play-in game, Sis, take it away.
Everyone loves a good reunion. Joel Embiid taking on his former teammate Jimmy Butler in the Heat. But keep an eye on the big man, though, who is coming off of a very big year. Joel Embiid became the 2nd player in NBA history to score more points than minutes played, joining Wilt Chamberlain. Y'all, he scores a point every 60 seconds, and this is how he does it. Watch this. Okay, he just has the physicality. Now, this was earlier in the year. I know he's still getting his legs back, but that's Wemby, who a lot of people say is Defensive Player of the Year, running up mate type of guy. But over here, watch. This is the most unguardable play in basketball. 4 guys in front of him. The whole defense is watching him, keeping his eyes on him. He's just able at 7 feet to shoot over everyone. That is why he's been so good, because he has the physicality, but also he has the skill. But this specific matchup won't be a walk in the park for Joel Embiid. Bam Adebayo actually leads an Eric Spoelstra defense that knows how to neutralize stars. And this is how. Now, there's a very special stat I want to show you. So watch this. Joel Embiid versus Bam. The last 3 seasons, Joel Embiid has shot 38.8% field goal percentage against Bam Adebayo. That is the lowest amongst all opponents. It's because Bam has the footwork, but also he's committed in that Heat culture to get every contest. But when the game slows down, which we know in the playoffs will happen, I want to flash back to this moment, because you have 1 possession. They're trying to lock up the game. 4th quarter, 30 seconds left.
Yep.
Joel Embiid has plenty of room to work. He attacks. Bam is there, able to guard on the perimeter, but then they have the help side defense and a clutch contest. So this is a strength-on-strength matchup. These 2 teams have had their fair share of adversity, and we will see if it's Joel Embiid's elite offense or the Heat's elite defense that will really win out.
Right, because we've only seen Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid go head-to-head 1 time this year where both of those guys played. This is going to be exciting. So it's time now for Setting the Pick, brought to you by ESPN Bet, the official sports book of ESPN. It all goes down tonight right here on our air. Michael Wilbon, NBA Countdown, gets it started. But we're going to make you pick now. We're not even going to wait for that.
Make me pick
Who you got?
Sixers at home, and I think Maxi's the difference. Just looking at what Sinead just outlined. I mean, Jimmy and Joel are going to do their thing. And by the way, I don't know that Joel, we haven't seen the power come back.
True.
I mean, I hope that he gets that back if they can advance and get to the playoffs. But Maxey, to me, Malika, is going to be the difference in this series. He's a guy who is all league level or close to it right now. And this postseason could be his coming out party starting tonight.
Look, Malika, it's hard to bet against the Heat culture, but it feels like the efforts, the intensity, the magic that got them to the NBA Finals, it's going to be hard to duplicate and replicate.
Right.
That's why I'm going on the home court factor, the energy of being in Philadelphia, Joel Embiid having enough games to feel good about his game, and then also Maxey being one of the most improved in the NBA.
I'm with you. I can't quite put my finger on what it is. It feels like something a little bit intangible. Do the Heat have enough offense? I don't know. I'm going with the 76ers tonight. Joel Embiid, though, to your point about his explosiveness, he hasn't had a single dunk attempt.
And
really,
you wonder,
since
is he saving it or does he not have it?
Right.
And either way, he's been so brilliant in what we've seen since he's come back. Is that going to be effective enough against Miami, a team that you know is going to test all of that? What Eric Spoelstra and crew haven't thought about testing Embiid in those ways? Of course they have.
Right. I talked to a couple of guys who played against Joel recently after he came back from injury, and they said that they think he's looked the best that he has at this time of year in a long time. But you're right. We didn't see him play in that final game of the regular season against Brooklyn because they were taking the chance that they could beat the Nets without him. That won out. That proved to be right. But we want to see him back on the court. We want to see him sort of at full strength. I'm wondering if we can drill down just a little bit on Miami, though. What do you think changed, Chiney, from last season to this season?
I think there's a difference in how they defend. And I think a lot of the onus has been on Bam Adebayo, and he's been tremendous. I think Bam is emerging into someone that we can compare to Draymond Green defensively in his prime. He can guard everyone. But at the same time, they're asking him to also be that leader, that consistent piece on offense. It's not easy to do that in the NBA, to be so committed to defense and then also be someone that can really take that next step offensively. I think there are a lot of games where we see him have, maybe 10 attempts or 15 attempts, but they need him to be a star, especially given that a lot of the moving parts around him have not been consistent.
And Sinead, I wonder the same thing. So does Bam have another level offensively? Is there a
playoff Bam?
Yeah. Playoff Bam, which might be unfair because he is so committed to that. And by the way, I mean, Jimmy has done this. Look, Jimmy came into this league to take on LeBron James. He was drafted just to do that and then transitioned into something fuller. So does Bam have that level? Are we going to see it immediately? Do we need to see it now?
Right.
Offensively.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all going to come down to tonight. So all of us are picking the 76ers. That always goes well when we pick.
With the camp, so she just told me just make it to the playoffs so she can get to a game. So that's all the motivation I need.
So we will have to hang tight and wait for DeMar DeRozan's daughter, but we do not have to wait for the first installment of our Home Court Advantage series. You have no idea how excited I am for this interview as I say hello to our friend Dion Miller from ABC7. Dion, what is the level of confidence for this Bulls team that they can win 2 and get into the playoffs?
Not very high. I think even the most optimistic of Bulls fans recognizes the fact that this is not a playoff team. Even Billy Donovan said on Sunday as they wrapped up the regular season, he's under no disillusions that he looks at this group and thinks, upper echelon of the Eastern Conference, top 6. That's not who they are, and they're very well aware of that. Repeating as a play-in participant was not the goal. The goal was to get better. And for this group, it didn't feel like the front office gave them a lot of resources to help get better on the court. And they didn't account for the season-ending injuries for Zach LaVine and Patrick Williams. Obviously, Lonzo Ball has not played in a Bulls uniform in more than a year, and they have a lot of money sitting on the bench, not contributing, and yet here they are back in that same position. Through 82 games, they have been nothing short of inconsistent, and I don't think any Bulls fan would be surprised if they were done tonight or if they win tonight and they play another one, but it feels like it's just simply prolonging the inevitable.
Getting sort of stuck in the middle, Dion, is sort of the worst place to be in the NBA. Not necessarily in a position to get the #1 pick and certainly not a contender. That's exactly where the Bulls are. So what's the optimism for the future, really, of this franchise?
You know, it would be, I think, more exciting at this point of the season if we didn't feel like we were having that same conversation, Malika. I mean, this is the same thing that I said to you last year, right? Like, they're stuck in the middle. And there's a lot of questions about what the front office plans to do with DeMar DeRozan's expiring contract, with Lonzo Ball sitting there. Who knows what Zach LaVine's going to look like when he comes back and is healthy. I think the good thing about this year is we have seen forced growth from Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe White. I mean, huge steps that they had to take because they're carrying a heavier load. But that provides a lot of depth behind those big guys up front that maybe they can build from that. And I do feel, though, that this is a group that is more properly cast as a lottery team. So they're stuck in that moment, much like we say with the Bears. They've got to break the cycle to try to change things around the Bulls. I think fans are eager for it. We're just in that wait-and-see moment.
Yeah, I mean, when I lived in Chicago, there are no better fans of really all sports than those who live in Chicago. We have Michael Wilbon on our set right now, who's literally nodding vigorously. Dion, thank you as always for spending some time with us here on NBA Today. I don't need to remind you, Wilbon, it's win or go home for the Bulls against the Hawks tonight on our ESPN doubleheader. Before that, though, we get the Miami Heat and the 76ers. But Wilbon, Since you're Captain Chicago, since you're Mr. Chicago, Janae, all of a sudden I feel very far away from you on our set. I feel like I need to join you and just give Michael Wilbon his space, because it used to be that being a Knicks fan, it was kind of a punchline. That's no longer the case.
Yeah.
My worry is that the Chicago Bulls, your Chicago Bulls, seem to be filling up that vacant space.
Well,
that was a nice way to say that.
That was very diplomatic, Malika. I like that. Wait a minute. She covered the team. Malika's been there. She's there a lot. We went to a lot of Bulls games together. Okay. A draft pick changes everything now. That's what your front office has to do. And I don't mean a top 3 pick. Yeah, you can get Wembanyama fine.
Well, Bob Myers knows
Where
that.
Where did Halliburton go? After Patrick Williams. Where did Giannis go? What was Giannis, 13th or something like that?
13, yeah.
So you have, I'm sorry, Joker. There are teams who have won championships and are deep in the championship contention. This is about scouting worldwide and being fortunate and good. So that's the answer to what is the front office going to do? Hope to hold on to your pick, hope to acquire another one. They didn't do that. They didn't trade Caruso. They didn't trade Drummond. Okay, so they stuck with this group. They are, everything Dion said just now, right on the money, nailed it. They will beat Atlanta tonight at home. I'm going to naively say that they can beat Miami. They had a double-digit lead on Miami last year in the play-in game and should have won that game. They are a better team without Zach LaVine, who they started 5-14 with. Since then, what are they, +5 or 6 over 500? Since that, are they going to put a scare into the Celtics? No, they're not. But they can get to the first round of the playoffs, which, look, there are plenty of years where the Knicks were not in play-in anything, so I don't want to be compared to them.
There wasn't
and
a
I can
play-in.
fight this. I can fight this out with Stephen A. We'll duke it out later. But the Bulls are not in a great place, and this game annoys me tonight because it
Not
does.
annoys.
Sinead,
That's like when
it
parents used to say,
annoys
"I'm
me.
not upset with you. I'm just disappointed," and it somehow felt so much
compliment
worse.
sandwich.
But listen, against the Knicks on Sunday, they played hard. They took the Knicks
overtime.
They're missing 3 starters. The Knicks are missing Julius Randle. The Bulls, as you just heard Dion talk about, they're missing 3 starters, including their max player, Zach LaVine, who's been missing half the year at least. So I'm trying not to be annoyed.
Wilbon, the one thing I think about, we know the reality when it comes to the East and the Bulls. Like, I don't think there's like a great run expected, right? But my question to you is, what do you want them to do? Because they've seen tremendous growth in Kobe White.
Yes.
And now you have deals that are being made. You have DeMar DeRozan, the question there. I know you play GM, coach, player. You literally wish you could go on the court and
Yes.
What would you do? How would you build? That's the thing that comes to my mind when I think about that.
It's going to have to be. Woj just talked about this. You're not going upper echelon free agent. That's not. First of all, the Bulls have never gotten that either.
But think about it. We made the comp to the Knicks, and they didn't do that either.
That's
right?
true. They didn't do that once, maybe. But that's what Kobe White is. A block. There's Vooch. They're committed to. But the problem is he's going to be 34 years old. Zach LaVine's contract. That should have been in Detroit. That deal was closer than people talk about. So, Sinead, they're in a tough place. They have got to get lucky in the draft. And again, you don't need a top 3 pick to get lucky.
Right. Especially in this
Tyrese Halliburton.
draft.
Just need to be right.
Where was Maxey picked?
And that's why you don't need to, in this draft,
You have to have your pick.
Right.
And you don't know when that person is going to emerge. And by the way, it happens almost every year now in the NBA. We see a player who is very quickly on a most improved list. We see a player who's a 3rd team. We see a person who's, on an all-rookie team that we didn't expect. It's worldwide basketball, and the Bulls have got to be better and a little luckier in the competition when it comes to finding time.
Right, because when Maxey is the 21st pick.
21st.
Then maybe
Come
that's
on
something
now,
that
this is possible.
But here's what the Bulls are holding on to. January of 2022, when they were the #1 seed
I'm holding on to it.
in the Eastern Conference, and they felt like that's what this group could be as healthy. The problem is, I think of 2022 as yesterday. It was 2.5 years ago, and that's what's getting a little bit wild. Speaking of the Bulls, though, the question.
Các bạn vừa xem xong video phân tích của chúng tôi. Sau đây sẽ là video hướng dẫn cách làm một chú gấu màu xanh của chúng tôi. Bây giờ các bạn cùng tôi thực hiện cách làm nhé. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ hướng dẫn cho các bạn cách để có thể làm một cái chú gấu màu xanh dương. Và cái chú gấu này thì nó đang ôm một cái hình trái tim với 3 màu. Đó là màu xanh lá cây này, màu cam này và màu vàng nhạt các bạn. Thì ngoài màu xanh dương để làm cái Chú gấu này thì chúng ta sẽ cần thêm màu trắng và màu đen để chúng ta sẽ làm cái phần mắt này, cái phần chân này, cũng như là cái phần mũi của chú gấu nhé. Tiếp theo đây thì các bạn sẽ chuẩn bị cho mình cái bút mực đen này, compa này, kéo này, bút chì này, và cuối cùng thì các bạn sẽ sử dụng cho mình keo nến nhé, để mình sẽ dán những cái chi tiết của cái chú gấu này lại với nhau để tạo thành một cái chú gấu hoàn chỉnh nhá. Bây giờ thì bước đầu tiên là mình sẽ quay cái hình tròn để làm cái phần thân của cái chú gấu này trước nhé. Rồi sau đó thì mình sẽ cắt nó ra này. Rồi, đây sẽ là cái phần thân của cái chú gấu nhé các bạn. Tiếp theo thì mình sẽ quay cái hình tròn để làm cái phần đầu nha. Cái chú gấu này thì nó sẽ gần như là nó sẽ được tạo ra từ những cái hình tròn nhé các bạn. Cái phần đầu thì chắc chắn là nó sẽ phải nhỏ hơn cái phần thân nhé. Rồi sau đó thì mình sẽ dán cái phần đầu này lên trên cái phần thân nhá. Tiếp theo bây giờ mình sẽ cắt cho cái chú gấu này hai cái tai này. Hai cái tai của nó thì cũng sẽ có hình tròn nhé. Đây sẽ là hai cái tai của nó. Sau đó thì mình sẽ cắt thêm cái màu trắng nhé. Màu trắng này thì chúng ta sẽ làm cái phần tai ở bên trong của cái chú gấu này. Bây giờ mình sẽ dán cái phần tai này xuống cái phần đầu của chú gấu này. Rồi, đây sẽ là cái phần đầu của nó nhé. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ đi làm cái gương mặt của cái chú gấu này. Thì ở đây chúng ta sẽ có cái phần mắt nhé các bạn. Cái mắt thì vẫn là hình tròn nhé, hai hình tròn màu trắng này. Hai hình tròn màu trắng này, kết hợp thêm cái phần mắt màu đen ở bên trong nhé. Tiếp theo là cái mắt màu đen. Và bây giờ mình sẽ cắt cho nó cái phần miệng. Các bạn vừa xem xong video phân tích của chúng tôi. Sau đây sẽ là video hướng dẫn cách làm một chú gấu màu xanh của chúng tôi. Bây giờ các bạn cùng tôi thực hiện cách làm nhé. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ sử dụng cái bút mực đen này. Mình sẽ vẽ cái phần mũi cho nó và cái phần miệng của nó nhé. Rồi, đây sẽ là cái phần mũi cũng như là cái phần miệng. Chúng ta đã hoàn thành xong cái gương mặt của nó. Bây giờ thì các bạn sẽ dán keo. Đây sẽ là cái phần thân của cái chú gấu này. Bây giờ thì mình sẽ đi cắt những cái hình trái tim nhé. Thì cái hình của trái tim của chúng ta thì nó sẽ có 3 màu. Đây thì mình sẽ lấy màu cam làm cái hình trái tim to nhất này. Tiếp theo thì là cái hình trái tim màu xanh lá cây nó sẽ ở giữa, và cuối cùng thì sẽ là hình trái tim màu vàng nhạt. Rồi, tiếp tục thì sẽ là cái hình trái tim màu xanh lá cây nhé. Cái hình trái tim màu xanh lá cây này thì nó sẽ nhỏ hơn cái hình trái tim màu cam nhé các bạn. Rồi, và cuối cùng thì sẽ là hình trái tim màu vàng nhạt, đúng không? Nó sẽ nằm bên trong cái hình trái tim này. Rồi, đây sẽ là cái hình trái tim ở giữa phần thân của chú gấu. Tiếp theo bây giờ thì mình sẽ đi cắt cái phần tay và cái phần chân của nó nhé. Thì mình vẫn sẽ sử dụng màu xanh các bạn, vẫn là màu xanh dương nhé. Bây giờ mình sẽ cắt hai cái hình tròn để làm cái phần tay của nó. Không nhất thiết là cái phần tay này nó phải tròn quá đâu nhé các bạn. Đây sẽ là cái phần tay của chú gấu này. Bây giờ mình sẽ vẽ những cái phần giống như là cái ngón tay, đúng không? Các bạn sử dụng màu đen này. Các bạn vẽ những cái đường cong lên trên cái phần tay như này để tạo thành cái phần ngón tay. Tiếp theo thì mình sẽ cắt cái phần chân. Cái phần chân của chú gấu này thì các bạn sẽ cắt cho mình cái hình nó sẽ giống như là cái hình bầu dục nhé. Thể hiện như là cái chú gấu này nó đang ngồi đúng không? Nó đang ngồi thì nó sẽ dựng cái chân của nó lên. Thì cái chân của nó sẽ có cái hình giống như là cái hình bầu dục như thế này. Rồi sau đó thì cái phần bàn chân của nó thì nó sẽ có cái phần thêm cái phần màu trắng nhé. Rồi, sau đó thì mình sẽ vẽ tiếp những cái ngón chân đúng không? Ngón chân ở bên trên, phần chân này giống như là cái phần ngón tay. Thì các bạn cũng sẽ chỉ cần vẽ những cái đường cong ở bên trên cái phần ngón chân này thôi nhé. Ngón chân này thì mình sẽ vẽ 3 cái đường cong đi, thể hiện nó giống như là 3 cái ngón chân chẳng hạn. Rồi, như vậy là chúng ta đã hoàn thành xong cái hình chú gấu màu xanh dương như thế này rồi. Cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi cái cách mình làm chú gấu này nhé. Các bạn có thể tham khảo cái cách làm này của mình. Và hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở những video tiếp theo nhé.